Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it.
Well, hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of SAT Sports with yours truly, Marcus. On the show today, we're going to be talking the 2023 MLB Draft as well as the All-Star Game. But first, let me introduce to you one of my guesses. Now, the second one just shut up backstage, but we're going to introduce one at a time. But first, you can find him on his writing from fanbuzz.com and defianttakesfootball.com, and a proud member of the Buffalo Bills Mafia and Driving to the Top Productions. First off, it's Jamie Malloy. How you doing today, Jamie?
I'm doing great, Marcus. It's an honor to be on your show again, and this is actually my first time on the show where you got a sponsor. You got that energy drink company. What I forgot, what was the name of it again?
Yeah, this episode is brought to you by W Energy, but fair warning, be careful if you ever drink this. Don't drink it on an empty stomach. Especially if you have any rapid heartbeats, dizziness, or severe headaches or shortness of breath, I suggest keep it low on that. But if you don't have any of that, feel free to grab you a set. Go to w.gg. Use our promo code SAT Sports to get 10% off of your order. Yeah, this is your second time you're on the debut episode with myself and Evan where we recap the 2023 NFL Draft. And second of all, he's making his debut on the show. By the way, this is going to be my first time meeting this guy. So as soon as I pop his screen up, this is going to be my first time interacting with him. He's at Dodger Jason on Twitter, and he's a proud member of the LA Dodgers. It's Jason. How you doing today, Jason?
I am well, my friend. Glad to be on the show for the very first time. Pleasure to meet you. And Jamie, glad to be back with you. We've talked ball a couple times, so I'm looking forward to looking forward to getting back on the show with you, and excited about what we're going to talk about today.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a fun one. And got comments already. What's up, Justin from the wrestling world right here from the End Time Wrestling Podcast tuning in. I didn't know you watched sports. I thought all you do was watch wrestling 24/7. He's a New Yorker, just like Jamie. So,
except I'm an upstate New Yorker though, not downstate.
He's an upstate New York guy. I think he said he was closer to like Rochester or Poughkeepsie area.
Yeah,
of course,
that's where I am. I live in Webster, which is about like 10 to 15 minutes from Rochester, so that's good.
Yeah, we got Dylan and Jordan joining in as well. What's up, guys? Tuning in. So I know where we could start first. Let's start with the big one. It was about a week ago. They just did the 2023 MLB Draft. They did it in Seattle, which I'm going to assume. I don't really watch the MLB Draft every year unless it's like big names coming out of LSU. But trust me, they had some big ones. But they go where they do the All-Star Game. So this year, Seattle hosted it. But they did it. It's just weird seeing a MLB Draft at an NFL stadium. They did it at Lumen Field where the Seahawks play. Of course, they had T-Mobile Park reserved for like All-Star and the Homerun Derby and everything. It's just crazy how this year they did it in a football stadium. Last year they did it in like a pavilion in LA, like an amphitheater. So what was real quick, what was your guys' take on the atmosphere of the MLB Draft? What you got, Jamie?
Well, I think the MLB is adapting to the way most sports draft things are now. Instead of doing it in a theater, they're doing it outside in a stadium where it feels more like a game. And like, as you see what the NFL does now, they have pregame performances and everything. And like the NFL treats it like it's the Super Bowl. So I'd like to see the MLB maybe do some pregame concert events to kick off the draft and make it feel like the World Series a little bit. That would be cool too. So it's a new era for how draft atmospheres are done.
There you go. What you got, Jason, on the atmosphere of the MLB Draft?
Yeah, I thought overall the atmosphere of the MLB draft was about as exciting as it could be given what we were dealing with. And I know obviously Major League Baseball is trying to put as much pomp and circumstance into it as the NFL does with theirs and the NBA does with theirs as well. And it's really unique with the MLB draft because a lot of these kids that are drafted are coming directly out of high school. They come from community colleges, the JUCO ranks, and obviously they come from four-year programs as well, such as LSU and Tennessee. But because a lot of sports fans and a lot of baseball fans don't get a chance to see these kids play because, again, a lot of them do come from the JUCO ranks in high school, it's really tough for MLB to market this event when you look at the list of guys that could be drafted and you're like, who is this guy? Who is that guy? Who's that guy? So given what they were working with, given what they've always worked with, I felt MLB did the best they could with it. And the most important thing is they didn't try and go overboard with it. They didn't try and put too much pomp into too much circumstance. So for what it was, I thought they did a fairly good job and they put as much excitement into it as they could.
I'm sorry, I just realized I was on mute. I
No, that's all right.
I got so much popping up and everything. Yeah, like I was saying while I was on mute is, the MLB draft is definitely different than the NFL draft because you got guys that can get drafted straight out of high school, but you can have the choice to go to the money or you can deny the draft and go play college ball. You don't really see that in the NFL. It's like if you want to get in the NFL, you have to play college football. Like, see,
right.
Used to back in the day, I miss the good old days where it was like you have to play at least 3 years of college to get drafted. And then it's about damn near 10 years ago, they kind of dropped that rule, and then they were letting people get drafted as freshmen. Remember, like Johnny Manziel, Jameis Winston were a couple guys that got drafted. Well,
Ezekiel Elliott was drafted as a sophomore, so
maybe not Jameis Winston. He was actually a sophomore. But yeah, Johnny Manziel, Ezekiel Elliott were drafted as freshmen. That's different here, but like, hell, even I remember like some guys, even while in college, like they might have guys, they'll get their name called 2 or 3 years in a row, but they don't go after the money. They might stay in school, get that degree, and maybe want to go experience Omaha.
Yep.
It's like a gamble with the MLB draft. It's like Vegas to me.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, it's the MLB draft, guys, is almost the ultimate crapshoot when you think about it. Because, like you just said, Marcus, not a lot of these guys will sign with these clubs once they are drafted, and even though they're offered, $500,000, $600,000, even $1 million signing bonuses, you're right. It's just not enough for them, and so they decide to either jump that forego it, and then go directly into college, or they do something else. So yeah, it's again the ultimate crapshoot.
Absolutely. And tell you what, one school that definitely made history that day was LSU. Of course, the defending national champions. They win their 7th College World Series. They got redemption from 2017, beating the Florida Gators. We all knew who was going number 1, and it was obvious who got the number 1 pick. We knew Paul Skeens was going to go number 1 to the Pirates, and I know Adam was like blowing my phone up. He's like, "You want me to get you a Skeens Pirate jersey and all that?" I'm like, "No, I'm very loyal to the Astros, but thank you though." And then sure enough, after that, I mean, we knew it was coming. LSU back-to-back picks from the same school. Dylan Cruz gets drafted 2nd to the Nationals, which I kind of wish he didn't go there because, 2019 World Series, we lost in Game 7 to the Nationals, so I was like, fuck them, fuck that team. Anytime we lose to a team in the World Series, I'm like, fuck them. So White Sox, Nationals, and Braves. Here's 2, and here's an extra for y'all. But let's see a couple of more names. So yeah, like the 3rd overall pick. Trust me, I'm not running down every pick because see, unlike the NFL, I didn't realize there were 20 rounds of picks in MLB draft, and I think it's like a 3-day draft like the NFL, or maybe it's 4 days. But
right.
I don't know. Was there any other players straight out of high school that went like top 5 overall in the first round, like the 3rd pick and Max Clark to the Detroit Tigers, who came out of Franklin Community High School in Indiana?
Yeah, Marcus, I'm looking at it right now. So you had the Minnesota Twins, who drafted 5th overall, took Walker Jenkins, an outfielder out of South Brunswick High, which is in North Carolina. And then going down that list, the Royals at number 8 took a catcher named Blake Mitchell out of Sinton High School in Texas. And I've actually heard a lot about him and read a lot about him. He's drawing a lot of Joe Mauer comparisons coming out of high school. And then And then the 10th pick by the Miami Marlins was a pitcher from Jesuit High in Oregon by the name of Noble Meyer. So, yeah, we had a few high school guys go in that first round.
I meant, like, I wonder if there was anybody straight out
or
of
at least
high
among the
school.
top 10 picks. I'm sorry.
I meant, like, is there anybody that went number 1 overall out of high school and they took the money and said, I'm going to go play pro ball instead of college? I wonder if that ever happened.
Oh,
before.
got you. I'm sorry. Well, the only guy I can think of in previous memory, and this is going a while back, was a guy by the name of David Clyde, who was I think the first overall high school pitcher drafted by the Texas Rangers. And he took the money from the Rangers and decided to go pro, and obviously didn't have much of a pro career. It was marred by injuries and inconsistency, and I think he was out of the league by his 5th or 6th year. So, again, David Clyde comes to memory. I'm sure there's some other guys in there too I'm just not thinking of, but David Clyde is one I think of the most.
Yeah, and you talk about, like, no matter where you come from community college, junior college. We have a JC that's in Jordan's hometown, about probably 30 minutes away from where Dylan lives, and about 45 minutes from where I live. It's my alma mater, LSU Eunice. It's a junior college owned by LSU Foundation. They used to be the kings of baseball in our state. They had more national titles than LSU alone, but I think now they're tied because they have a total of 7 total, just like LSU. Every so often they would, and this is a 2-year school I'm talking about, a 2-year college. They managed to have one guy drafted all the way in the 12th round. I think his name is Simon Miller. I don't know where he's originally from. He could be a local. He could be from the other side of the state, or it could be an out-of-state guy or a transfer. He was drafted to the Cincinnati Reds, so congratulations to him. A couple other familiar faces, Wyatt Langford from Florida. He played in the national title game. He was drafted to the Rangers, or I should say the South Oklahoma Rangers. It's an Astros joke. Probably the pitcher with the prettiest hair in the College World Series, Rhett Lauder out of Wake Forest. He went to the Cincinnati Reds. So I'm like, oh, good. Because I'm there. I was distracted with his hair. Like, I was enjoying LSU beating down Wake Forest, but I was like, it's the hair, man. I'm like, I got to get my hair to get as long as like that. But in the first round, like, was there like any pick that had you in all like, holy shit, he's going to this team, or finally this team called his name? There anybody else in that first round that had y'all in awe?
Yeah, Jamie, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I do. I'm going to actually talk about my Yankees pick, George Lombard Jr. out of George Lombard Jr. out of a high school in
out of Florida.
Florida. There you go. Yeah.
Gulliver Preparatory School out of Florida.
Gulliver Preparatory School out of Florida. Thank you, Marcus. So yeah,
in Miami.
I think he was a good first round pick because number one, you've seen the recent success of sons of famous father players do well. So the Yankees are following that trend. And 2, he's already got a natural swing that you can't coach. I mean, he it's Power City with him. Now, he was 6'3", 190 pounds, and they drafted him as a shortstop, but the plan is to have him eventually put on 20 pounds to get up to 6'3", 210 and become their third baseman eventually to replace Donaldson. But yeah, I like this kid's natural swing, and I think he could be a good MLB player once he arrives to the club. But as of right now, he's committed to Vanderbilt, and he's going to go play college ball there. Sorry, Marcus, that's another SEC rival there for you.
Yeah, there you go. What you got, Jason? How many for you? There's probably about maybe 6 for me. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, there are 2 guys in particular that stand out for me, especially in the first round. One of them is Chase Dollander, the pitcher out of Tennessee. Chase Dollander was
one of mine.
Yeah, the guy's a beast. The guy's a monster. He has 4 quality pitches, has an above-average curveball, has a great spin rate on his fastball, he kind of altered his grip on his slider, which made it, a more dangerous pitch than he had in the previous years. The Rockies chose him at number 9, and for a team that's never been able to develop pitching in Colorado because of the altitude and where they're at, I mean, this was, I think, an under-the-radar first-round pick for the Rockies, and assuming Dollander can stay healthy, assuming that they can develop him the right way, I think this kid has a big league future sooner rather than later. Another guy that I looked at really hard too that I saw here is the soon-to-be Las Vegas Athletics getting Jacob Wilson, the shortstop out of Grand Canyon. He is the son of Adam. I hope you're listening. Pittsburgh Pirates legend Jack Wilson, and Jacob Wilson. This guy struck out the least amount of times in the NCAA this year, guys. He struck out only 2.4% of his plate appearances. So he puts the ball in play, and assuming that he can continue that development, going through the minor leagues and eventually with the soon-to-be Las Vegas A's or whoever else, he could potentially be an under-the-radar first-round guy too. So Wilson and Dollander are the two guys that I really was intrigued by the most in terms of who picked them and where they picked them at.
I like how you said Las Vegas, Las Vegas A's. I don't know if it's a finalized deal yet. I don't know what's on the internet. It's like they wanted to boycott the team because of the owner. Now they're like, oh, we want to keep Oakland. Yeah, and really, I mean that Ace situation is so confusing because there's so many moving parts, and like you just said, Marcos, there's no pen to paper agreement on this. Just when you think they're going to move to Las Vegas and they got a deal all ratified, ready to go, now you have other groups that are kind of boycotting the building of a stadium there in Las Vegas. And then you have teachers' rights groups who are protesting. And then you have now, in the latest twist, the mayor of Oakland actually went to Rob Manfred up in Seattle during All-Star Week, took him to task. And after he said, well, we never got an offer from Oakland to build a new stadium, the mayor of Oakland said, BS, this is the offer that we had. You just ignored it. So, yeah, you're right. I mean, this is just so many moving parts. Who knows who's telling the truth and who knows who's lying? We don't. It doesn't matter. I mean, they're still ranked the worst team in the league right now. They should just already have them eliminated from playoff contention because the second half of the season just kicked off the other day, and they would I feel like they would have to just win out. They would have to pull in Angels in the outfield to make it to the playoffs. Just magically get help from Anaheim, you could say, or from the heavens to get them to where they need to go. So they're kind of in the rearview mirror. We've already proved a point with them. We swept them in 2 series. I think we play them in another set of series, I think in August. I know they have to unfortunately go back to Oakland soon, which I should see them sweeping them again. While I try and pop that up, I could say for me, outside of Chase Dollander, I'll probably throw in Tommy Troy from Stanford going to the Diamondbacks, shortstop. Kyle Teal from Virginia, who's a catcher. He went to the Red Sox. This 2 right here, I was actually waiting to get their names called. Jacob Gonzalez from Ole Miss, going to the White Sox. And TCU's Braden Taylor going to the Tampa Bay Rays.
Yep.
That's it right there. So on the Oakland behalf, actually, it ain't gonna be long before we're going back to Oakland this week in a 4-game series, July 20th through the 23rd. They go back to Oakland. They should sweep them even more, and then I think September they're gonna host them one more time. Yes, September 11th through the 13th will be a 3-game series at home with Oakland, and so that's 2 more right there. And wham, bam, and damn, they're done with Oakland till next season. So I'll go with we'll start with Jamie first. Talking about your New York Yankees, tell us some of their draft picks. I know there were 20 rounds. There were probably about 20 guys got called up to each team. Maybe some had more players, but share a few names that the Yankees called up.
I can absolutely do that, Marcus. Let me pull it up right here. They got, as I mentioned, they got their first round pick and their future third baseman replacement, George Lombard Jr. George Lombard Jr. The father. George Lombard Jr. They got him. Sorry.
You got lost?
No, hold on. We could try this again. So, I'm good. So, as obviously I mentioned, the Yankees got in their first round pick, George Lombard Jr., 26 overall from Florida in high school. He's the son of George Lombard Sr., who played for the Braves back in the 90s. and then they took a junior college pitcher here. Let's see, by the name of Kyle Carr. He was a JUCO pitcher in the 3rd round, and that was their next pick after the 1st round. So, and one of his strengths is he throws a mean fastball. He can throw 95. He can throw 95 miles an hour, and he's a lefty pitcher too, and he's only 21 years old, and he's gonna have to add more muscle if he wants to get into the league too. So,
all right. Anybody else you want to throw in there?
Yeah, there's definitely more I'd like to throw in. We also got let's see. Well, yeah, we got another pitcher, and the thing is, all 5 of their pitchers here, they went with college players. They went with Cade Smith out of Mississippi State, Nicholas Judice, Brian Hendry, Josh Grossman. These are pitchers that I think that are going to be projects in the later rounds that will go to AAA and they'll develop there. But let's go back to the 4th round where they took Rock Riggio out of Oklahoma State. He's a second baseman, and he's got a on plate percentage of 1,100 Division I play. He's only 5'9", 180, but he's very fast, and speed is what you're gonna need in this game now that the bigger bases are back and those shifts, and you got the pitching clock too, which is helping. Speed's coming back to the game like it was in the 1980s. So yeah, that was an important pick there for the Yankees to get more speed. Even though he's small, you can't coach natural speed.
All righty. What about you, Jason? Tell me some of your picks with the Dodgers.
Yeah, so this was kind of an interesting pick for the Dodgers in that at selection number 60, they took this young kid out of Atascocita High School in Humboldt, Texas by the name of Kendall George. The reason I say it's interesting is because George is pure speed. This is a guy who came in with a very high draft ceiling as far as speed is concerned. He's viewed as the fastest player in this year's class. I don't know what, he was clocked at in the 40 or anything like that. But apparently he had already started to add some weight, adding about 10 pounds before his senior season in high school. And he hit 455, stole 32 bases in his senior year. The reason I say this is interesting is because previously the Dodgers have usually selected players that give them a lot of two-way versatility. So they haven't drafted historically a lot of guys who are just purely like a one-position player or a one-talented player or a one-dimensional tool type player. Assuming that George continues to add some strength and some muscle to his frame, he could develop a little bit of power. And there's no indication that he's accepted any 4-year offer or scholarship from a college. So I don't know if he's going to go directly into the minors out of high school, but that's who they took at 36. And they picked up a kid from the University of Virginia by the name of Jake Geloff, Gelof. I think he was their pick at number 60. They really love him. He has a lot of power, and I think they view this guy as another potential 30-homer, 100-type RBI guy. He's built very similarly to Max Muncy in terms of his frame and his size. And, he was rated as the 35th ranked prospect in MLB's pipeline. So he comes from a pretty good ranking system in there. And the Dodgers director of scouting there is Billy Gasparino. He's done a fantastic job at finding a lot of these guys, especially in the later rounds and later picks, and developing them. So I'm not really sure again about Kendall George, if he's going to be on the Dodgers long term, but at least with Jake Geloff, we have something to look forward to there in the future with him.
That's nice to hear. Of course, so in the first round, 28th pick, the Astros added another talented middle infielder and Bryce Matthews to their prospect pool, who had an extraordinary season in 2023, which propelled him into the first round. And if he continues to impress, he could have a role at shortstop, because there's a possibility they could do a change at shortstop later in the season or when he gets called up from the minor leagues. Let's see. A couple other second round, 61st pick. The Astros picked up Alonzo Treadwell, who's a right-hand pitcher out of UCLA. The 99th pick in the third round, they get right-handed pitcher Jake Bloss out of Georgetown. I'm going to skip down a bit. In the 224th pick and the 7th round, they get Joey Dixon, a pitcher out of Stanford. In the 10th round, 314th pick, Austin Domingue, a third baseman out of BYU. No offense, Domingue. I don't see you starting over Alex Bregman. No offense to you, buddy. 13th round, 404th pick, they get James Hicks, a pitcher out of South Carolina. Interesting one here from our backyard. In the 14th round, 434th pick, they get Jackson Nizu, a pitcher out of the University of Louisiana at Lafayette. So we got a Raging Cajun on the roster for the Astros. Or keeping it local, a couple picks here. 15th round, 464 pick, they draft Garrett Guillemette, who's the catcher from Texas Longhorns. 494th pick, they draft Will Bush, a catcher from Tyler Junior College in Tyler, Texas, which is by Dallas. And I'll throw one more here. This is sort of a baseball school. 554th pick in the 18th round, they get Derek True, a pitcher from Cal Poly, just to name a few. Yeah, that's a lot of picks right there. Like, if this were the NFL draft, I can just name like all 6 or 7 Saints picks. Or 9, like if they managed to get like 9 or 10, like the Texans or whatnot. But I saw you did like a thing. I guess you're a Cal Poly supporter, or is like, who do you support in college?
Yeah, let me tell you about that a little bit. So I live out here in Fresno, California, which is in the heart of the central San Joaquin Valley. We're about 4 hours north of Los Angeles and then about 3.5 hours south of San Francisco. So we're literally smack dab in the middle of the state. And my college has actually been known, where I graduated from, Fresno State University, has produced some pretty good major leaguers in their own right. Jamie knows one of them by the name of Aaron Judge. You should be familiar with Aaron Judge.
Hopefully he comes back.
We got Derek Carr for the Saints now.
Yeah, you guys got Derek Carr for the Saints. We've also produced Devontae Adams, arguably the best wide receiver in the NFL, who's now with the Raiders. And as far as other baseball players are concerned with Fresno State, we produced other guys as well, such as Brant Brown, who's now the hitting coach for the Chicago Cubs. He went to Fresno State. We also produced a guy who played a long time ago by the name of it's not Gus Zernial. Who am I thinking of? But at any rate, Fresno State, Bobby Jones, that's who I was thinking of. Bobby Jones, who had a great major league career when he pitched for the New York Mets and the San Diego Padres, so he was good too. But I support Fresno State. But the reason I pumped Cal Poly is because Cal Poly is not too far from where I live. So got to show some love to the college that is dubbed the Harvard of the West, guys.
Don't forget about Ryan Matthews.
That's right. Ryan Matthews, running back, played a number of years for the Chargers and the Eagles. We've had and also Logan Mankins, who was the offensive lineman for the New England Patriots, went to Fresno State as well. He blocked for Tom Brady for a number of years. So, yeah, we've had our fair share of good pro athletes there.
That's right. Yeah. So I'll go with you then, since you're a big Fresno State supporter and everything.
Yeah.
How did they do in the draft? How many players called up from Fresno State to the big leagues? What you got on your list?
You know what? Not too many. I think they only had one of their players from this year's roster, maybe 2, get drafted. I don't have the whole list up right now. I'm still looking at it. Fresno State's team has really been in kind of a state of conflux. Their program's been in a state of conflux. I mean, they have some young players that are very, very raw, and it's going to take them a while to kind of round up into form and round into shape. But I think Fresno State's first player this year was drafted in the 10th or the 11th round. So like I said, they didn't have a lot of guys go this year. Their team was only 5 games over 500 this season. And we made it to the Mountain West Conference tournament, but we got trounced out. So we didn't have a chance to go to Omaha. But with Fresno State baseball's program right now, we've seen better times. Obviously, we won the College World Series 15 years ago, I believe it was, 2008. So, yeah, their program's in kind of a holding pattern right now.
Yeah. So, Jamie, what about you? I think you said you're a supporter of Syracuse, or anybody else in upstate New York?
Yeah, but Syracuse unfortunately doesn't have they got a softball team, which I want to congratulate them because they made it. They made it to the quarterfinals of the ACC tournament 2 years in a row for the first time in program history, and their coach succeeded 100 wins this year. But yeah, there's no baseball team with Syracuse. That's why I had to mention the softball team. But yeah, they compete in the tough ACC with Florida State. So yeah,
they don't play baseball at all.
No, they do not.
Oh,
they used to have a baseball team back in the day, but budget cuts and they couldn't afford and they couldn't recruit enough Southern players to come to the school. So,
that sucks. Well, look, shockingly, I mean, it don't really surprise me when it comes to LSU baseball. You know, when you think of LSU, everyone's going to throw in football, but you know, baseball was like put them more on the map. You know, they have more national titles in that than football, basketball. They have 0 in softball. They have a couple in golf, quite a bit in indoor and outdoor women's and men's track. I think a couple in golf, but like 7 in baseball. But, you know, the top 2, you know, the first 2, Paul Skeens to the Pirates, Dylan Cruz to the Nationals. Also, you had Ty Floyd to the Reds. A couple of players went to the same teams. You know, like Trey Morgan and Garrett Edwards both went to the Rays. Jordan Thompson and Javon Coleman both went to the Dodgers for Jason. So I'll take care of those guys. Let's see.
Oh, yeah.
Grant Taylor to the White Sox. Gavin Dugas joining Dylan Cruz to the Nationals. Blake Money and Riley Cooper to the Baltimore Orioles. Let's see. Braden Gilbert went to the Cardinals. And Christian Little to the New York Mets. So, yeah, 13 LSU boys got called up.
I really love the Orioles taking Riley Cooper there. Baltimore has done a fantastic job of scouting, developing, and drafting guys and replenishing their farm system. I mean, the Orioles at one point, just a couple of years ago, had the lowest ranked farm system in all of Major League Baseball, and now they're a top 10 pipeline program. And I mean, look at their roster now. They have guys like Adley Rutschman, Gunnar Henderson, who's a Rookie of the Year candidate. Orioles, for a change, they're starting to do something right, and I really love that Riley Cooper pick by them. I think that's going to be a star in the making there, hopefully for him.
And I also want to say that. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I also want to say the Yankees have done a good job with their farm system too, as on ESPN said on their the MLB Draft said that according to ESPN, the Yankees had the 5th best farm system, and that's a shift in philosophy with the new Hal Steinbrunger as the owner instead of the father who used to want to just spend on big time players and never work on the farm system. So I give credit to credit's due and my props to the Yankees for spending on big players while improving their farm system under current ownership.
And if you've never seen Riley Cooper, that is a heavy set boy that can throw a baseball at 100 miles an hour.
Right. Yeah, I think Riley Cooper's stuff right now coming out of college is about as close to Major League ready as you're going to get, along with Paul Skeens. I think all 3 of those guys, I think Skeens and Cooper, and then the guy the Nationals took at number 2 overall, as I'm scrolling up here, what's his name again? Give me a chance. Dylan Cruz. I think all 3 of those guys are very close to being Major League ready. In fact, I can see at least Skeens and Cooper, Skeens and Cruz at least spending maybe a year and a half in the minors before they get a call up and get their share of a cup of coffee.
And that's great. That's great. You mentioned Cruz spending a year in the minors because our minor league, the Nationals minor league team is the Rochester Red Wings. So I'm going to a game of September, and if he's up and by August or September, I may get to see him in a Red Wing uniform in a short period of time before he becomes a National. So that would be a special moment for me.
And they both have a chance to be a big MLB star from LSU. I mean, look at Alex Bregman right now with the Astros. He's been a hell of a name since he got called up. And let's see if they can be as big as Ben McDonald, who played for the Milwaukee Brewers, who was the number 1 pick out of LSU. I think in 1990 he got drafted to the Brewers.
No, Ben McDonald was the number 1 draft pick by the Baltimore Orioles.
Oh, he was with the Orioles. I knew he played with the Brewers. I thought he got drafted to the Brewers. So he played
No, it's all right. He played with Milwaukee towards the end of his career, but he was number 1 pick by the Orioles, and he actually had an all-star career with Baltimore before he started having some arm and elbow problems. And then when the injuries kind of took him over a little bit, the Orioles cut him loose, and then Milwaukee picked him up as a free agent.
See, that was way before my time.
Yeah, he was the first overall pick in the 1989 MLB draft by the Orioles.
Yeah.
See, that's why I didn't know that, because that draft probably happened a month before I was born. So I've just seen highlights of Ben McDonald if he was in a Brewers jersey or an LSU jersey. I didn't really see nothing of him in that black and orange.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's all right. No, when at his heyday in Baltimore, he teamed with Mike Mussina there with the O's to give Baltimore one of the toughest 1-2 combinations of his starting rotation there in MLB. Those two guys not only brought the heat, but they were very tough to hit against. And Mussina obviously is in the Hall of Fame. McDonald won't get there, but those two guys, when they were in their prime with Baltimore, they were as hard to hit as anybody.
yeah, and then Riley Cooper said that's a big old boy. That boy can throw a ball like Nolan Ryan, like 100-mile-an-hour fastball.
Yeah,
for his size.
Yeah, that's some serious cheese. And, he throws it like Nolan Ryan, and he has a physique like Wade Miley, who also went to LSU, who's still pitching for Milwaukee, I think. So I look at Riley Cooper, I'm like, this guy's another Wade Miley in the making here, just a little faster.
Some people were like, he's got to be the catcher. I'm like, no, he's a pitcher. They're like, that big boy's a pitcher? I said, yeah, that big boy's a pitcher. And now he's a national champion. Now he's in the major leagues.
Well, interesting you say that about Riley Cooper's size, because when I saw him pitch in the College World Series, Marcus, he reminded me a lot of an old reliever that the Giants had at the time by the name of Rod Beck. I mean, Rod Beck would go out there on the pitching mound, throw a 98 miles an hour, and he looked like he could have played offensive line for the Chicago Bears. I mean, he was a big guy. I think he was 260, 270 pounds, but he was a gas can. So when I look at Riley Cooper, I say, this guy's another Rod Beck.
Now he didn't. Another one too. Like, speaking of Giants, probably one of my favorite LSU pitchers to go play for the Giants, Brian Wilson. Then he played for the Dodgers for a little bit too.
Yeah, he did. Brian Wilson played for the Dodgers. Unfortunately, it was bittersweet. Had some shoulder injuries, some elbow injuries here and there, and wasn't as effective with LA as he was with the Giants when he helped them win a few World Series up there in the Bay.
Yeah, he had that fear the beard trend, because he had that caveman beard that everyone loved. Yeah. And now we go from LSU, known for facial hair, you go from fear the beard to the little handlebar mustache that Paul Skeen's got these days.
Yeah, right.
So I didn't get to watch the All-Star game, but I saw the National League won 3-2. But I tell you what I did watch that I watch every year is the Homerun Derby. And just like Daddy himself, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is the first baseman for the Blue Jays, wins the Homerun Derby. He was runner-up in 2019. He knocked 25 home runs in the final round against Randy Arozarena's 23 to win the event, who's an outfielder for the Tampa Bay Rays. It also marked a first in Derby history, as both Guerrero Sr. and Guerrero Jr. became the first father-son duo to have a Home Run Derby title. Well, what was it, 445 feet or something like that? It was damn near close to 500 feet.
Yep. Pretty close.
And it was a stretch. It was a stretch like Arzarena, however you say his name. It was
Rosarena.
Rosarena, 438. And I'm like, it's going to be so close. And sure enough, when they measured it, 445, I'm like, yep, just like his daddy, he got it. I'm like, hell yes.
I feel like a really old guy here, because I'm 47 and I still remember watching Vlad Guerrero Sr. in his prime. And I remember that All-Star game and that home run hitting contest. And I mean, Vlad never met a pitch that he didn't like. He was a free swinger. He would go after everything, even if it was 30 feet outside of home plate. He would swing at it and knock it out. But just like father, like son, like they say.
Yeah. But congrats to all the ones that competed in the Home Run Derby. They had like Luis Robert Jr., Pete Alonso, Mookie Betts,
Julio Rodriguez, who set the first round record in the Home Run Derby with 41 home runs. That was impressive to see.
Yeah, I kind of had my money on him, because it was in Seattle. I'm like, it'll probably come down to Vladimir, or if it had to come down to Julio. I didn't think Randy was going to make it to the finals like that.
See, here's where I differ from you, Marcus, on this. and I differ from a lot of people. I said going in Randy Arozarena was going to be a sleeper because he's one of those guys that reminds me of a former Yankee by the name of Robinson Cano, who won that Derby in 2011, and here's why. Both Cano and Arozarena have that nice little contact swing that is just an easy swing. It's not like a power where they're just trying to crack it out of the park, and it's great for a home run derby when the guy pitching to you is only throwing the ball like 5 to 10 miles per hour. So yeah, contact usually will get you far in that home run derby over power. So that's why I thought Arozarena would be a sleeper. Now, he made it to the finals. He didn't win, but I thought he was going to do well in this home run derby because of that Robinson Cano comparison.
Yeah, so but I didn't watch the game, but National League wins 3-2. Did y'all manage to catch the All-Star game?
I saw bits and pieces of it. I saw it after the 5th inning, and I kind of thought overall it was really, well, I don't want to say it was a boring game, but it really didn't get exciting there until the last 2 or 3 outs of the 9th inning when Craig Kimbrell himself came in and made the game interesting. Speaking of which, how the hell does that guy make the All-Star team as a closer with the Phillies and stinks it up with the Dodgers? That guy pisses me off. But at any rate, and credit to the National League. Hey, they won the game for the first time in 9 seasons, I think it was.
2012. 2012 was the last time they won it, and I have it right here.
Thank you, sir.
The last few All-Star games right here. The National League, last time they won it was 2012 by the score of 8-0 over the AL.
If the World Series home team in Game 1 was still determined by the victor of the All-Star game, that would mean a lot more, but unfortunately it's not. So, hey, at least the NL won. Woohoo!
Yeah, it is what it is here. But
the good news for me is that even though the AL lost, Garrett Cole got to pitch, and he pitched one scoreless perfect inning. So good for you, Coley.
Yeah, so Astros only had 3 that made the All-Star team. Yordan Alvarez, Framber Valdez. I think Ryan Presley was the other one that made it. I think that was the 3rd one. How many All-Stars did the Yankees and the Dodgers have this year?
Well, they had one who actually went, and as I mentioned, it was Garrett Cole, and Aaron Judge was supposed to go, but he's hurt, so he ended up not going. So it was basically 2 officially, but 1 only went.
Yeah, the Dodgers had 5 guys voted to the All-Star game. Clayton Kershaw was voted, so was Will Smith, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, and then J.D. Martinez. Obviously, Kershaw didn't pitch in the game because he's dealing with a mysterious shoulder injury right now that probably will keep him out of the rotation at least until the beginning of August, or so the Dodgers say at least. And then Smith, Freeman, and Betts and J.D. Martinez all saw action in the All-Star game. So we had 5 guys that ended up going to Seattle.
Jason, are you hold on? Are you a French Prince of Bel-Air guy?
No, not a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air guy. Even when I watched the show,
I was going to make a reference to Will Smith. He went to a All-Star baseball game in the middle of summertime.
Oh, no. He had to go there. Thanks for going there, Jamie. Appreciate that.
No problem. No problem, man.
Mistake here.
The New York state of mind.
Mistake here. It wasn't Ryan Presley. It was Kyle Tucker. He was the 3rd Astro that joined Framber and Yordan. But none of them were starters. They were Framber was a release pitcher. He didn't start on the mound. And, of course, Kyle Tucker, I think he got some playing time. They had a couple of stats on him. And then, of course, Yordan Alvarez got to hit. But he wasn't, like, on the starting batting lineup. But he was, like a release hit at one point. But I didn't see nothing on him. Like I said, I barely kept up with the All-Star game. Because, like I said, sometimes it gets boring. Like, yeah, I don't even watch the Pro Bowl. The Pro Bowl is just a damn circus.
That's just the Pro Bowl games now. It's actually better now. The way the games are now. It's not even a Pro Bowl
Yeah, it's been turned into a skills competition where they like roll bowling balls and they shoot horseshoes or something like that. So
That's
yeah,
how
we
it
don't.
should be. Really, it's better than an actual
Right?
game.
I miss the good old days when it was like NFC All Stars versus AFC. Now it's like team primetime versus freaking like Team Brady or something. Or
It was
it
AFC NFC this year, Marcus.
Oh, I remember a couple years ago they picked 2 Hall of Famers to like coach a
Yeah,
team.
I do. You're talking about when they did that version. You are right about that because but
yeah.
the one thing with that though was that didn't last very long because a lot of the top players who had to go to the Super Bowl a week later weren't going to the Pro Bowl. So that's why in 2016, 2017, they went back to AFC, NFC.
That's good because when they started that sideshow shit, I was like, I'm fucking done with the Pro Bowl. Like it's a joke. At least
I think a lot of people were done with the Pro Bowl then, and they're pretty much done with it now. But the skills thing's just fun to watch because it's on ESPN and it's a Sunday. You get to chill and whatever. So
if I want to watch any skills, I just watch the NFL Combine. But yeah, at least they were smart enough to do it the week before the Super Bowl instead of back in the day they did it the week after the Super Bowl, and that's when
I remember that
in Hawaii. But then they don't go to Hawaii no more. Now they actually do it where like people could travel, like done in Orlando a couple times, Vegas. I think it's probably like one of the only 2 places they would go. Well, let's see. One particular guy that made the All-Star team, he's probably maybe the best hitter in the league right now and one of the best pitchers. But this is all I kept hearing about. The one and only Shohei Ohtani. You think you're going to hear about his run in the All-Star game. I don't really hear much. All I'm hearing about is these spectated rumors that he's going to go to this team or that team, and there's only 3 teams I've heard that he could potentially go to, and it's all 3 of our teams. One minute I see Shohei might go to the Astros. Shohei might go to the Dodgers. Shohei might go to the Yankees. Right now he's still with the Angels. They're playing right now, but he ain't on the mound.
it's because he's supposed to be a top free agent in 2024, and no one's supposed to trade for him at the deadline. That's what it is.
Do y'all really see him leaving Anaheim, going to one of those 3, or maybe go to another team that I don't know about?
I honestly think Shohei getting traded at the deadline is 50-50. I tend to think he's not going to get traded, and the reason why is simply because I don't think Artie Moreno wants to be known as the owner who traded away a once-in-a-generational talent like Shohei Ohtani. And also, from what I've been reading, in order to precipitate a Shohei trade, the Angels would start to request at least, and this is just the minimum, guys, 5 top 100 prospects in any team's minor league system.
Oh, and, good. Then the Yankees are I think are gonna wait till free agency because they're not going to be willing to give up that many prospects in the middle of the season for him.
And this is another reason why I think Shohei's not going to get traded, just me personally, because, and this is an interesting question I've heard popped up within the last couple of days, and that is, what do you determine as fair value for Shohei? It makes it a lot harder because he is a two-way player. Now, not only is he just a two-way player, but he's an outstanding two-way player. He's probably, in my estimation, a better hitter than he is a pitcher. And that's saying something because he's not only in the race for the Cy Young Award, guys, but he could also still be alive for the batting title race. But if Shohei were a terrible two-way player where he excelled at one position and not the other, I think it would be a lot easier to answer that question. But really, at this point of the season, what does a team that wants Shohei deem as fair value for him? I don't think you can really accurately answer that question because more major league clubs right now are putting more money into their farm systems and developing their prospects and their young players. They're willing to forfeit success in the immediate future for long-term success in the grand scheme of things. And also, if Shohei does get traded at the deadline, it's definitely not going to go to the Dodgers, because Artie Moreno is not going to ship him 45 miles down the I-5 to have him play at Chavez Ravine. Now, Marcus, one team I've heard really jump in the Shohei fray as of late is the San Francisco Giants. And I think that makes a lot of sense too, because the Giants have a large Japanese fan base up there in the Bay Area. The Giants like to make people think that they are a small market team, but they are not. They have the 6th or the 7th highest rated payroll in baseball. The only thing for the Giants is they don't have as many prospects in their farm system as teams like the Dodgers, as teams like the Yankees do, as teams like the Orioles do. So for the Giants, giving him the money is not the hard part. It's trying to figure out what prospects do we have that would interest Anaheim. And the answer to that is not a lot. So again, my call, 50-50, he gets traded. Jamie, you think differently?
I'm actually going to say with you, I agree with you, Jason. It is 50-50 because I'm saying as a Yankees fan, I think we're more willing to keep the prospects that we have and keep building on growing the team organically, and we can just get them in free agency next year without having to give up those prospects at the deadline. So I agree with you on that. You hit that right on the nail. So, but I would like to see us get a two-way player like that. And who knows? I mean, we struck gold with Babe Ruth once. I mean, we could strike gold with Babe Ruth 2023 or Babe Ruth 2024. We'll see.
Yeah. I could see him possibly staying in Cali. Just don't see him going to the A's. I can believe maybe the Giants or maybe the Dodgers, at least one of them two. I don't know about the Padres. That their fan base, I feel like, grew when they changed their colors from navy and white to that yellow and shit brown.
Well, the Padres, I think, are an interesting team, and I've heard them rumored to be interested in Shohei. And look, we know that their principal owner, Peter Seidler, has lots of money to spend. So he is willing to whip out the checkbook and add as many zeros to the end of that to get Shohei as he wants. But if the Padres are going to get him, I think it's more likely to happen in free agency because just simply of all the contracts they dished out to all their all-star caliber players on their roster, they signed Manny Machado to an extension. Fernando Tatis is there, assuming that they decide not to cut bait with him early. So yeah, but I don't see the Padres trading for him just simply because they don't have any minor league talent left. They don't even have one top 100 prospect in their farm system right now, much less 5. So Shohei won't go to San Diego via the trade deadline. If he does go down south a little further in the state of California, it probably will happen as a free agent. But even then, I think San Diego's still just kind of a long shot given the structure of their roster. And that's just my belief on that.
Yeah, I'd rather be called Showtime than the Unicorn, me, if I was Shohei Ohtani. Where the hell you got Unicorn from?
Who knows? Maybe it's a Japanese baseball league thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I get Showtime because he's Shohei. I get that. But here's one last thing I got to say before I close out. It was probably the day after or a couple of days after the All-Star game. They made the announcement that next year, the All-Star game in 2024 is going to be deep in the heart of Texas, but they're not going to be in Houston. They're going to Arlington in the Dallas-Fort Worth area at the new Globe Life Field, or as the Astro fans like to call it, Minute Maid Park 2.0, because they built it just like Minute Maid Park. And the outside kind of looks like a warehouse if you compare it. But it's a really, really nice ballpark. I've been in it one time. I'll give them that, but now y'all want to play like y'all want to win something and keep it in the Lone Star State, but
yeah, right.
Kind of in a like their rivalry now has been so interesting since the Rangers have actually looking good now. Like, I don't know what shocked me the most. Texas Rangers just like picking up the ball and like, we're tired of Houston being the team of our state, or Tampa Bay, who started off with a freaking 12-game win streak, and now they're one of the hottest teams in the league right now to win it all.
14-0.
They were 14-0, but I wouldn't be surprised if they get knocked out in the first round. So, yeah. So next year, the All-Star game is going to be in Dallas, in Arlington, Texas. I have really nothing else to say about that. I guess it's cool. It's a little closer to us. We'll see what happens when that time comes. They did hope they try to back all Billy Badass because they got to host the 2020 World Series during the pandemic, where they actually let a 25% capacity attend instead of having no fans at all or cutouts, which I really despise talking about anything that it relates to the pandemic. So they just think they're hot shit because they hosted a World Series, but still never won one. But you had back-to-back chances, and you lost to the Cardinals one year, and you lost to the Giants the following year. When you had one of your best pitchers of all time, and you still couldn't do it. So,
yep.
Well, if that's about all I got to say, if you guys have anything else y'all want to close out with.
Yeah. So yeah, guys, thank you for listening to this podcast. And you guys can find me on Jamie Malloy, the unbiased journalist at DJ Dog Tags, which is one of my original Twitter accounts, and DefiantTakesFootball.com. You can also find me on my second Twitter account, created by the one and only, the man of this, who does all this operations and makes this thing go, Adam McNally, at Bill's Chat 1 at Bill's Mafia Chat. And the reason why you want to start following me on that chat is because I will be starting my own Buffalo Bills podcast show called Bill's Chat. And look for that to start out here on Defiant Takes very, very soon. The first episode is supposed to be around July 25th. So I'm really excited to start my own podcast journey here with my own show, as well as going on these shows too. So yeah, and then also to close out, I write for Defiant Takes Football, and you can find my sports stories there on the Buffalo Bills, Syracuse Orange, and spring football, which is both the USFL and NFL. So thank you guys very much for listening, and we appreciate it.
Thank you very much. And hell, that's awesome with the new show you got coming out. Hell yeah. All right, Jason, where can we find you on social media?
Well, you can find me right here at Dodger Jason. That's my Twitter handle. I always love engaging with everybody, even the people who call me a freaking moron for the takes that I have on Twitter. But I always love engaging with fellow fans. It's always fun to do that. I don't have my own sports podcast show, so I'm sorry about that. But Jamie, I'm going to follow yours when you get your football one up and going there. So keep an eye out for that follow.
Me too.
Yeah, and also,
Thanks,
and also,
appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet. And Marcus, I'm going to go ahead and give you a follow. This was the first time I met you. Had a blast. Even though you are an Astros fan, you seem like a nice guy, so I'm willing to let that slide. Oh, and by the way, Astros legend Jake Marisnick is now an LA Dodger, so watch out for that. But at any rate, also, just to echo what Jamie earlier said, thanks to Adam for getting this all set up, dropping a link here and letting me chime in. It was fun talking ball with you guys, as always. And Marcus, hope I get to get an invite to do with you again. And then Jamie, looking forward to our next powwow, my friend.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. That's awesome. I love talking baseball with you, man. You're great.
Yeah. Same here.
Yeah.
Same here.
Yeah, if I ever get the chance, I always get the links to, like, anytime, like, Jamie and Evan and all them and even Adam are all together. I've popped on a couple times with Adam, especially when we talked NFL draft. I hopped on one with him and another chick who was a 49ers fan. We did one not long ago. I hop on with those guys too. I'm on Twitter at MarcusLee337. Follow the show on Twitter at SAT Sports 89. Subscribe to my YouTube channel to watch these shows anytime on demand. Powered by StreamYard, part of Drive to Top Productions. But that will be it, guys. Any tune in. We'll see you guys next time. Thank y'all. Y'all enjoy y'all weekend.
Yep. Thanks again, guys. Bye.
Yeah, guys.